jobs. And in sports, the OU women's volleyball team is being recognized by the MAC. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Anna Azalian and welcome to Newswatch, your source for all news impacting southeastern Ohio. The growing season will be heavily impacted tonight and tomorrow. Freeze warnings have been issued by the National Weather Service. Forecaster Nicholas Snyder has been tracking this all day. Nicholas, how cold are we expecting it to get?
Well, unfortunately, Anna, pretty cold as freeze warnings have been issued by the National Weather Service in Charleston. Pretty much counties from Washington County, Athens County, Meigs County, Gallia County, Lawrence County, and Scioto County points south and east into West Virginia and Kentucky. That goes until 10 a.m. Friday. Hour by hour tomorrow, it really does not paint the whole story of how cold we're actually going to be seeing. Temperatures drop tonight, 46 at 8. 42 at 10, 39 at midnight. Rain clears out by 10, and yes, we may see some snow mixing in later on tonight. Just going to be a plain ugly night before we actually get pretty breezy as winds could gust to about 25 miles an hour. So just an ugly night across the area. And again, look at these lows. Temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s, 28 the cool spot here in Athens, 31 in Ripley, 30 in Ironton. Rain and snow mixing in over the eastern portion of the WOUB viewing area. Highlights over the next couple of days, though. We see that cold air stick around for at least the next couple of days. The rain clears out, however, and a big-time warm-up could be in store for next week. We'll talk all about that coming up in my full forecast in the next couple of minutes. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Nicholas. Ohio's Lieutenant Governor is digging in his heels on a tweet which he referred to COVID-19 as the Wuhan virus. John Husted's comments in an Associated Press interview today come as advocates warn such rhetoric is a driving force behind violence against Asian Americans. Husted says the tweet was to criticize the Chinese government for what he says is its role in the spread of the virus. However, a report from the WHO says it's extremely unlikely that a virus emerged accidentally from a Chinese laboratory and that it was likely spread from animals to humans. And Husted's tweet is one of many incidents that have sparked protests against Asian hate across the nation, one of which took place in Uptown Athens on Saturday. A few dozen people gathered to take a stance against anti-Asian racism in America. They also honored the lives of the 8 people who died in a mass shooting on March 16th, 6 of whom were Asian women. The rally was organized by members of the Asian American community in Athens and international student organizations at Ohio University. It was held in front of the Athens County Courthouse, where participants gave speeches, read poems, and chanted before the group marched down Court Street, through campus, and then back to the courthouse. And the protest comes after increased violence and abuse against the Asian American community that's spanning all 50 states. Today, New York police have made an arrest in the case of a 65-year-old Asian woman who was assaulted Monday. It comes after the NYPD released video of the incident Tuesday, and this image of the man seen on camera punching and kicking the woman. He's identified as lifetime parolee Brandon Elliott, a man who served 17 years in prison for stabbing his mother to death. Elliott allegedly yelled an expletive and said, "You don't belong here," during the attack. The incident gained the attention of New York Mayor Bill de Blasio and Governor Andrew Cuomo, who both spoke out against it. The NYPD did not specifically say who identified Elliott, but thanked the public for helping the investigation. The apartment building the assault took place in front of has also suspended 2 members of its staff who can be seen on camera watching the attack and appearing not to intervene. As for the victim, she suffered serious injuries and was taken to the hospital in stable condition. And universities across Ohio are coming together in support of Collins Law. The proposed law is named after Colin Wyant. He was an Ohio University student who died in 2018 because of a hazing-related incident. A multi-university letter-writing campaign kicked off with a Zoom event on Monday. Wyant's mom shared her story, and the 2 co-sponsors of the Collins Law bill also spoke. This law would increase penalties for hazing in Ohio and make it a felony if drugs and alcohol are involved. The bill is currently in Senate committee. And a big change is coming to Ohio's court system starting July 1st. New rules issued by the Ohio Supreme Court say Ohio's 28 counties with multiple municipal and county courts must use a uniform bail schedule. This change comes after a few states have all but eliminated cash bail. Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor said defendants should be released on the least restrictive conditions possible. This will ensure the person returns to face the charges against them. The recommendation to create a uniform bail schedule came as part of a task force report in 2019. Former Marysville principal Henry Jacoby is facing new felony charges stemming from a sex crime investigation. The 49-year-old now faces 3 counts of illegal use of a minor or impaired person in nudity-oriented material or performance. The Zanesville Times Recorder reports Jacoby is also accused of deleting cell phone data related to a sexual assault that happened on or around Christmas Eve. Jacoby was previously indicted and pleaded not guilty to 1 third-degree felony count of tampering with evidence. He resigned from his position in February after being placed on administrative leave in late December. See how Biden plans to invigorate the nation's economy while former President Trump is being sued by 2 former Capitol Police officers. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
All you have to do is write one true sentence. Write the truest sentence that you know.
We've been thinking about Hemingway for literally decades. You have someone who is often considered the greatest American novelist and has an outsized life.
It's hard to think of a subject that's more iconic than Ernest Hemingway.
Within a few sentences of reading a Hemingway story, you were not in any confusion as to who had written it.
Hemingway can be read as he wanted it to be by ordinary folks, and yet beneath it is as deep an exploration of art and the human experiences that is just miraculous to me.
He was always questing. The perfect line had not happened yet. It was always a struggle, trying to get it right, and you never will.
He's this big game hunter. He's a deep sea fisherman. He's this lover. He's a man's man. And all of that was true, but it wasn't completely true.
The way into understanding him is through his relationships with the women in his life. His mother, his sisters, and then the 4 women who he married in succession over the next 40 years of his life.
Ernest and I, really, are afraid of each other, each one knowing that the other is the most violent person either one knows.
In working on the film and delving more deeply into his demons and his struggles, how much his work mattered to him, I came to have a much deeper appreciation for the real Ernest Hemingway.
Finding out more about him was revelatory and shocking, and at some point, you just kind of had to check everything you thought you believed and begin again. We were just not prepared for how complex the story was going to be.
Ohio now has what federal health officials call the 3rd variant of concern of the novel coronavirus. According to the Columbus Dispatch, the CDC says 2 cases of the South African variant have been detected in the Buckeye State. The news of this 3rd variant comes after the CDC reported cases of a UK variant had increased 115% in Ohio in a week. Variants have been found in 43 of Ohio's 88 counties, according to state health officials. In other COVID-19 related news, our region continues to get worse as West Virginia Governor Jim Justice announced 34 previously unreported coronavirus deaths. The government pinned blame for the discrepancy on the state's Department of Health and Human Resources. Justice says a data issue led to the late disclosures, but an internal review didn't find any willful intent to cover up data. Justice ordered a new electronic death reporting system be implemented. Meanwhile, West Virginia's vaccine supply will be boosted next week, giving the state more flexibility in how vaccines are deployed. West Virginia isn't the only state hoping to be more flexible with vaccinations. The COVID-19 vaccine will soon be available for all Americans across all 50 states who are at least 16 years old. Some states, including Ohio, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Kansas, already expanded eligibility to 16-year-olds, but come May 1st, the vaccine will be available for those 16 years or older nationwide. Right now, 16 and 17-year-olds can only get the Pfizer-BioNTech shot, as vaccines from Moderna and Johnson & Johnson are only available for adults over the age of 18. And President Joe Biden unveiled the next chapter of his effort to transform the U.S. economy. First, it was his COVID-19 relief bill. Now he's focused on infrastructure. Britt Conway explains how he plans to pay for the massive plan.
Road work could be coming to a city near you, among other things. That's President Joe Biden's goal, at least. And today he'll lay out the first part of his $3 to $4 trillion infrastructure plan to rebuild the nation's roads, bridges, water systems, and technology, with climate-related measures as well. It invests in manufacturing, research and development, and the caregiving economy, too. Democrats say it's all part of a bigger picture.
It's going to create millions of jobs across the country, right? This is the time for us to rebuild crumbling infrastructure that's been in place for the last 100 years.
But getting Republicans on board won't be easy.
Let's do an infrastructure bill. Let's don't turn it into a massive effort to raise taxes on businesses and individuals.
There will be some tax increases, but they're saying
if you're making less than $400,000 a year, this proposal will not involve a tax increase for you.
And they say there will be no gas tax and no tax on how many miles you drive. The plan will largely be financed by increasing the business tax and signing on to an effort establishing a global minimum tax for corporations, plus no more federal subsidies for fossil fuel firms. And multinational corporations will have to pay the U.S. tax rate. A senior official says the White House wants to see considerable progress on the bill by Memorial Day. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
The second part of the plan is aimed at childcare, paid family leave, healthcare, and education infrastructure. Biden is expected to release that part of the plan in the coming week. And things are only getting worse for the man President Biden has succeeded in office. 2 U.S. Capitol Police officers are suing former President Donald Trump over the January 6th insurrection. Capitol Police officers James Blasingame and Sidney Hemby say Trump should be held responsible for inciting the crowd. The lawsuit says Hemby was crushed against the doors of the Capitol, sprayed with chemicals, and bled from his face. Blasingame claims he was slammed against a stone column, injuring his head and back. The 2 officers have been with the force for a combined 28 years. Each of them is seeking at least $75,000 in damages. Trump has not yet responded to the lawsuit, but he has previously denied any responsibility for the attack. And take a look inside the courtroom for day 3 of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin's trial. That story's still ahead.
And weather-wise, while it will get cold tonight, we're tracking a major warm-up coming in for next week. We got all the details on that coming up in my full forecast, but first a look at stocks of local interest.
Scientists brave the icy Antarctic in search of a creature so tiny,
a shrimp-like organism about the size of your little finger,
yet crucial to this entire ecosystem.
They support all this life we see around us.
But they're vanishing, threatening a vast collapse.
We have to understand why.
Researchers risk the frigid waters to solve this mystery beneath the ice on Nova.
American Masters presents Late Night's legendary band leader, Doc Severinsen.
Being a band leader is a whole nother muscle.
He spent 25 swinging years on The Tonight Show.
We have got on this show the greatest trumpeter in the world.
And decades later, he's teaching, touring, and still on tempo.
When you hear something like that, you know what great is.
Find out why it's never too late.
I do it because I love it.
On American Masters.
Now, it's even easier to stay connected with WOUB Public Media. Receive the latest news, watch your favorite programs live or on demand, and listen to podcasts or live radio everywhere you go using the WOUB Public Media app. And you'll get to carry me, WOUB radio announcer Robin Barnes around with you all day. The app is available to download free on iOS and Android. Just search for WOUB.
I've encountered some of the world's most remarkable animals, but many of these seem set to disappear forever.
1 million species are now threatened with extinction.
It's happening in the Amazon, in Africa, in the Arctic.
We have a moment when we can change our world. This is that moment.
I truly believe that if we make the right decisions, together we can create a better future.
Extinction, The Facts, Wednesday, March 31st at 8/7 Central, only on PBS.
Well, a very deceptive look at today's temperatures from today's big board. We hit a high of 63 up in Columbus, median high of 66 in Parkersburg, warm spot of 68 in Huntington, but that was all very deceptive. Those highs came around 3 a.m. last night. Highs were actually 5 to 6 degrees above average. Unfortunately, the percentage of the sunshine we possibly could have seen today was 0. Yeah, we didn't see any sunshine. We were covered in clouds, and those clouds are still hanging around right now on our visible satellite. Western edge of the clouds are beginning to push off before another low pressure starts to form to our south and east. Right here in this left exit of that jet streaker where those winds really get strong, that's where we're expecting that low to form tonight, and that may even cause some snow to mix in with rain later tonight. We'll get to that in a second. There's that low forming over Tennessee and North Carolina. That's expected to move on up to the East Coast tomorrow and really impact our day as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Lows bottoming out in the 20s and 30s tonight. Just going to be an ugly night. And yes, evening rounds of rain and snow, are possible. We actually have 2 freeze warnings currently in effect, both for the same areas. Here's a look at where we're looking at for the snow to form. Right in here where this energy is, downwind of that energy is where we're expecting that snow, and we could see it here on our simulated radar. This is one of our high-resolution models. We see that snow mixing in West Virginia and rain across the eastern portions of Ohio. So mainly areas east of State Route 13 will see that rain-snow mix. Elsewhere, we're not really expecting much in the way of snow showers. 2 of those freeze warnings in effect, as I mentioned earlier, and here's those areas. Again, Washington, Athens, Meigs, Gallia, Lawrence, and Scioto counties point south. That's where we're expecting those freezes to occur. So if you have any sensitive vegetation or things that need to be covered up tonight, make sure you do that, or it could really impact your growing season. Just an ugly night tonight. 28 will be the low. Evening rain snow mix, 50% chance there. Very cold night. If you're going out and about, make sure you have that jacket readily available. It's going to be blustery. Winds will be out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. After midnight, winds could gust occasionally over 25 miles an hour. 29 in Chillicothe, 30 in Jackson, 30 in Ironton, 29 in Columbus and Newark. Again, that rain-snow mix east of State Route 13 for the earlier part of the night, and then we start to clear it out later on. There's that cold front passing through that low pressure that's going to generate that snow. We actually have winter weather advisories over the mountainous areas of West Virginia. Luckily, we're not going to be seeing any type of accumulating snow. 38 will be the high tomorrow. Cold and breezy winds will be out of the northwest at 10 to 15. Across the area, temperatures in the upper 30s, lower 40s, mostly cloudy skies. Cold front continues to push off to the east. High pressure moves in later tomorrow. For the rest of the week, spring-like weather is going to return, and a calm pattern is likely going to set up. Highs potentially 13 degrees above average. There's that ridge. We're not going to be seeing any type of weather anytime soon. Just going to be beautiful. 10-day air masses. We see the cold air coming in tomorrow and warming up by Sunday for your Easter festivities. And by next Wednesday, we could see highs in the upper 70s and maybe an 80 or 2 south of the river. Just going to be beautiful spring-like weather next week. So this cold weather likely, thankfully, is not going to stick around. Anna.
Thanks, Nicholas. The trial continues today for former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, charged in the murder of George Floyd. Witnesses who took the stand set the stage of what happened in the moments before officers were hauled to the scene after a report of a counterfeit bill being passed at a store. Camila Bernal has the latest from Minneapolis.
In day 3 of testimony,
I'm claustrophobic, man. Working with me. God, I'm claustrophobic, man.
New body cam footage of George Floyd's arrest. And a man who witnessed it breaks down on the stand. Earlier, never-before-seen surveillance video of George Floyd inside Cup Foods. The footage shows store cashier Christopher Martin accepting a $20 bill while selling Floyd a pack of cigarettes.
When I saw the bill, I noticed that it had a blue pigment to it, so I assumed that it was fake.
Twice, Martin says he went to the SUV that Floyd was sitting in, trying to get Floyd back inside the store to discuss the possibly counterfeit bill, but says Floyd would not come back in. That led to a call to police. A short time later, Martin testified there was a commotion outside the store. He went back outside and saw Floyd motionless with Chauvin's knee on his neck.
What was going through your mind during that time period?
Disbelief and guilt.
Okay. Why guilt?
If I would have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided.
In cross-examination, the defense focusing on Floyd's behavior inside the store.
He was delayed in his speech, and you believed him to be under the influence of something.
Correct.
As the trial continues, the stress for many involved has reached new heights. One juror halted today's trial due to a stress-related reaction. Elsewhere, the U.S. Supreme Court is looking at a case that could dramatically change how the NCAA handles compensation in college sports. Justices heard arguments today on a case being brought by student athletes. The athletes say NCAA rules restricting education-related compensation violate federal antitrust law. An appeals court ruling agreed that capping some education-related benefits is illegal. But the NCAA wants the Supreme Court to keep the restrictions in place. They argue if the caps are removed, money could flood into schools under the guise of education-related spending. But several justices seemed skeptical of that justification today. Still, the NCAA expressed concern about the future of college sports if courts continue to second-guess their definition of amateurism.
Good evening, I'm Jack Demler. The Ohio volleyball team swept the MAC East Weekly Awards and put players on the all-conference and all-freshman teams. I'll let you know who was honored when Newswatch returns. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB, as here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
All you have to do is write one true sentence. Write the truest sentence that you know.
We've been thinking about Hemingway for literally decades. You have someone who is often considered the greatest American novelist and has an outsized life.
It's hard to think of a subject that's more iconic than Ernest Hemingway.
Within a few sentences of reading a Hemingway story, you were not in any confusion as to who had written it.
Hemingway can be read as he wanted it to be by ordinary folks, and yet beneath it is as deep an exploration of art and the human experiences that is just miraculous to me.
He was always questing. The perfect line had not happened yet. It was always a struggle, trying to get it right, and you never will.
He's this big game hunter. He's a deep-sea fisherman. He's this lover. He's a man's man. And all of that was true, but it wasn't completely true.
The way into understanding him is through his relationships with the women in his life. His mother, his sisters, and then the 4 women who he married in succession over the next 40 years of his life.
Ernest and I, really, are afraid of each other, each one knowing that the other is the most violent person either one knows.
In working on the film and delving more deeply into his demons and his struggles, how much his work mattered to him, I came to have a much deeper appreciation for the real Ernest Hemingway.
Finding out more about him was revelatory and shocking, and at some point, you just kind of had to check everything you thought you believed and begin again. We were just not prepared for how complex the story was going to be.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Jack Demler. The Ohio Bobcats swept the MAC East Volleyball Weekly Awards in the final week of the regular season heading into the conference tournament. After leading the Bobcats to winning their last 3 games of the regular season, Tia Jimerson has been awarded both Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week. This is her first Offensive and first Defensive Player of the Week award of the season. Coach Dean Webb shared his words of praise for Jimerson on her impact on the team through her career.
alpha female. You know, I mean, she's the kid that's going to go out there and drive the team. You know, and she's imposing. You know, she's learned a great deal. She's improved so much in the game. She got here as an incredible athlete that didn't know a lot about volleyball. She didn't play at a very high level in club, didn't pick up the game until she was a sophomore in high school. And she, of course, is an incredible player. I mean, she deservedly was Conference Player of the Year last year.
And closing out the weekly awards, Vera Giacomazzi received Setter of the Week. This makes it her third Setter of the Week award this season. And sticking with volleyball awards, the Bobcats have many players making all-conference as well as all-freshman teams after receiving Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week. Tia Jimerson also received Mid-American Conference First Team All-Conference honors. This is her fourth time being named First Team All-MAC. Vera Giacomazzi received Second Team All-Conference, and the Bobcats also had 2 freshmen make the All-Freshman team. Sam Steele and Caitlin O'Farrell take up 2 spots on the All-Freshman team and round out the Ohio Volleyball Awards. And sticking with volleyball, the end of the regular season can only mean one thing. It's tourney time. After sweeping Northern Illinois as well as winning their last 3 matches of the regular season, the Ohio Bobcats secured their spot in the MAC tournament. The Bobcats are currently the 3rd seed in the tournament, where they will face off with the 2nd seed, the Western Michigan Broncos. That match is scheduled for Friday at 7 p.m. And the winner of that match will go on to face the winner of Bowling Green Falcons and the Miami Redhawks on Saturday in the MAC Volleyball Championship. The Ohio baseball team is on the road this weekend as they prepare for a 4-game series against the Toledo Rockets. The Bobcats currently hold a 3-5 conference record after losing the series to Bowling Green and splitting their series with Central Michigan. The first game of this 4-game series is scheduled for Friday, followed by a doubleheader on Saturday and a series closer on Sunday. Coach Moore discussed the upcoming series and how the team will need to prepare for the road ahead.
Yeah, we haven't been on the road much this year, and so it's going to be a little bit different routine for us, you know, getting on the bus and staying in a hotel and, you know, obviously playing on a different type of surface up there with their natural surface. So we'll have to prepare our guys this week a little bit during practice, talk to them about just what we want routine-wise, you know, how we're going to handle ourselves on the road and whatnot. But definitely looking forward to getting back at it on Friday up there at Toledo.
The Ohio softball team is also on the road this weekend as they travel to Kent, where they'll face MAC opponent, the Kent State Golden Flashes, for a 4-game series of their own. After taking their series against Northern Illinois 3-1 and splitting their 4-game series with Western Michigan, the Bobcats look to take the series against the 9-12 Golden Flashes. Kent State currently holds a 1-game lead over the Bobcats in the Mid-American Conference standings with a conference record of 6-2. I'm Jack Demler, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Jack. Space flight company Virgin Galactic unveiled a sleek, mirror-coated spacecraft design that it calls Spaceship 3. The space tourism firm, which is the brainchild of billionaire Richard Branson, hopes to send its first customers to space next year. The mirror coating is meant to enhance the passenger experience. And the company said in a press release, flight tests of the new vehicle are expected to begin this summer. The new space plane looks a lot like Spaceship 2, which Virgin Galactic has been testing for more than a decade. However, the new design is intended to be more easily manufactured. It's also designed to be durable enough to help the company achieve its goal of flying 400 trips to suborbital space each year. Now, looking back, that's all we have for you today on Newswatch. I'm Anna Azalian. Stay tuned for PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. You can also download our app to have all of the latest news right on your smartphone or other smart device. And follow WOUB_outlet on Twitter. We tweet out a daily forecast so you can stay up to date on the weather as well. Have a great night.
scientists brave the icy Antarctic in search of a creature so tiny,
a shrimp-like organism about the size of your little finger,
yet crucial to this entire ecosystem.
They support all this life we see around